The one thing about Bill as a young boy is very early, he demonstrated this really insatiable curiosity about things. He became a voracious reader.
He would bring a book to a Husky game. I mean, how can you not sit there and be fully engaged in a Husky football game? I just didn't understand that.
We knew he was smart and he was academically gifted, but we didn't have any impression that there was something world-class going on in our living room necessarily.
My 8th grade year, they got a terminal that was connected over a phone line to a GE time-sharing computer. And Paul Allen, who was 2 years ahead of me, was one of the people who was most curious about it.
Before you knew it, there was just a core group of about a dozen of us that would spend every spare moment between classes, or if we had a spare period, in this room just learning like little sponges everything we could about programming.
He snuck out of the house to go use computer time that wasn't necessarily his to use, and I was fully aware of all of his escapades in and out of the house, but never reported on any of those.
They'd always have some secret window they left unlocked, and they'd get back in this room and start knocking around with this thing for who knows how long.
Back in college, Bill was really very intense about the things that he was interested in. That included some of his classes, especially the math classes, independent studies and computer science. And he was very intense about games. He was very intense about pinball. He was very intense about playing Pong and Breakout. And most of all, he was very intense about playing poker.
It's a cold Boston winter, and we're at Harvard Square, where there's this magazine store.
I saw the Altair in Cambridge, in Harvard Square in Cambridge, and showed Bill the magazine, and I said, we should do BASIC for this.
Paul says, look, this is happening without us. You know, we're going to miss it. Somebody else is going to do the cool software. And so we hunker down and write a BASIC interpreter for this 8080 chip. Then we were calling up this company with the kit computer and saying, we have a BASIC, and they say, oh yeah, sure. And so Paul flew to Albuquerque. Paul loaded the BASIC in, and amazingly it worked. I mean, the MITS people were amazed, and Paul was amazed, because there were so many things that could have gone wrong.
I'm just going, oh my gosh, I can't believe all this code, because I'm imagining in my head all the code that Bill and I had written over the previous 2.5 months. It was all working.
So that they became our first customer, and that's when Microsoft really got started, was there in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
This one morning, in comes this kid, hair's all messed up, he has jeans and sneakers, and he's walking by my desk and says, hi. Then he goes to the computers and he's typing and looks like he owns the place. He says, well, he does, he's your boss. I said, that's the president? How old is he? And I thought, oh my God, I'm working for a bunch of kids here.
Ohio Scientific Billings, Krememco, IMSI. People don't remember these names, but like the start of any industry, there was just a flourishing of lots and lots of companies, 90% of which went out of business. But we got to do the BASIC for all those machines. And so it was a very exciting time period where I was kind of traveling and doing the business stuff as well as writing a lot of code. And the code had to be very small and precise. In those days, you know, it wasn't like you could waste any memory at all. So it had a certain beauty that, you know, we were doing the best small software.
Bill loved to challenge people about, you know, well, you know, I could do that in 2 days. I could write that in, you know, over the weekend. It kept everybody on their toes. We accomplished things that we probably otherwise would never have figured out we could have done.
Kazuhiko Nishi is a lot like Paul and I. That is, he was an independent thinker. He'd seen the microprocessor and what it could do. He and I met, and we found that we had a common view that the computer could do amazing things. And he thought we should start working with these Japanese hardware companies, because there were many of them.
We started without any agreement. Later, Bill wrote a one-page agreement and sent it over to me and said, I could even read and they signed. That was the beginning.
The original vision of the company was a slogan. It was a computer on every desk and in every home. And in the mid-1980s, that was still kind of a crazy thing. And we get a lot of pushback from people who would either say, look, there's no way that they'll be on every desk, because most business people don't need a computer. And especially they don't need it in the home. That's what we took most grief for, was this idea that, what, a computer in every home? What would you do with it? It went in a very short period of time from insane that everyone would have a computer to, my God, of course everyone needs to have a computer.